go! Now the PS1 had over 4,000 games released for it in its lifespan, which means there's a lot of games that didn't get the attention they deserve. So what I did is I picked out 6 gems that don't get mentioned too often. Now there may be some minor spoilers for these games, but not much. Just so you know, I'm not quitting reviews, it's just they take a really long time to write, and I really just wanted to try something different. So consider liking and subscribing, sit back, let's go. Why is it not going? Go! Raystorm was first released in Japan on January 10th, 1997, next released in North America in June 1997, and then released in PAL territories in September 1997. The game was released in North America under Working Design's Spaz logo. Working Designs localized quite a few RPGs and some other games like this one, and they really had the best packaging. Raystorm is the second game in Taito's Ray series. Honestly, this is the only one I've played. The first game is a 2D shooter. For Raystorm, the power of 3D graphics is unleashed. I mean, it looks pretty good. You play as an unknown pilot in this vertical shooter. You're fighting off an invasion, that's all we need to know. There are 2 types of ships, R-Grade 1 and R-Grade 2. R-Grade 1 fires projectiles that can be upgraded to a wider shot and lock on to 8 targets. R-Grade 2 has lasers that don't change in appearance when collecting upgrades. This ship is about the lock-ons, being able to lock on to 16 targets. For the most part, it's a normal shoot-'em-up, dodging bullets, lasers, and missiles while shooting at flying enemies. The difference here is that lock-on targeting system. Lasers and bullets can only hit targets that are at your height. Lock-ons fire onto enemies on the ground. There are a lot of ground enemies like tanks and turrets. Sometimes enemies will be flying below your ship too. The game has 2 modes of play. Arcade, which is the original arcade port, and Extra mode. Extra mode has arranged music and some different enemy and boss patterns. There's a lot going on with bullets and lock-ons all over the place, but it's not the most difficult shooter. It doesn't look too bad either. The game also has a 2-player mode. You'd think that'd be a given, but you know, Nine-Hander is only 1 player, so. Raystorm is just a really fun game to play. It's not the greatest shooter ever made, but it's definitely worth playing. It's got a few music tracks worth listening to as well. Honestly, a retro shooter with bad music isn't something you run into too often. That other soundtrack is, let's just say, interesting. If you enjoy these types of games, give it a shot. Even if you aren't too good at shoot-'em-ups, it's worth trying since it's not too difficult. I actually used to be a lot better at this game. Raystorm is also on the Saturn with a different title, Layer Section 2, that only came out in Japan, so you know. Ghost in the Shell was first released in Japan on July 17, 1997, next released in North America on December 2, 1997, then released in PAL territories on July 1, 1998. The story and art for this game were done by original author and illustrator of the manga, Masanori Oda, also known as Masamune Shiro. The game was developed by Exact, the makers of the Jumping Flash games. You play as the rookie, controlling a spider tank. He's part of Kusanagi's team, so the other characters are in the cutscenes. And hey, the original English voice cast from the movie reprised their roles.
The new rookies gave me all these funny little stickers.
Take them off, you moron.
Fujikoma, just do your job and help the rookie.
This game is pretty cool. The spider tank you control is equipped with a machine gun with infinite ammo, and grenades that have to be collected. The tank can also quickly strafe to the left and to the right to dodge incoming damage. The best thing that this tank can do is easily climb up walls and in some cases hang from the ceiling. Zooming around the stages blasting enemies is easy once you start playing. The game is a bit difficult though. You get 1 life in this game. Blow up and it's game over. You do get to select the stages you've cleared and the one you left off on, so at least there's that. With some practice, the stages get easier. The game isn't the most colorful. First and third stages look drab, but the gameplay is fun. Each stage has an objective to complete, followed by a boss battle. Enemies can do quite a bit of damage. You gotta stay on the move or get blasted. Each boss is some sort of mechanized beast. The second boss in the sewer is a cool fight. Littered around stages are grenades and health pickups. Sometimes those health items really save my bacon. There's a variety of different objectives to complete, and a couple of chase stages. I do wish the aiming could help a little more, and it can get a little disorienting getting turned sideways and upside down. But Ghost in the Shell is a very fun game with great controls. If you're looking for something fun to play on the PS1, give Ghost in the Shell a shot. Snowboard Kids Plus was first released in Japan on January 21st, 1999. So this game actually came out on a Nintendo 64 first. Plus adds new characters, an arranged soundtrack, as well as a story. The original didn't have one in game. Only downside is, it's in Japanese. If you understand Japanese, you're in luck. Otherwise, I do feel like the PS1 is a bit easier to control than the N64, but this one is harder. Other Snowboard Kids always seem to be on your ass. I've been playing Snowboard Kids for years, so it's very noticeable. Rubber banding seems to be at work on Plus. The game is similar to Mario Kart in some ways. It's a combat racer with cartoonish characters. Big difference is you're on snowboards and use ski lifts. Red and blue clown boxes either carry weapons or defensive items. Red ones carry one of the many weapons in the game. The only weapon in the blue box is the pans. I think that's what they are. These smash the other three snowboarders. In single player, you earn money to buy better snowboards. Winning first place in the first 6 courses unlocks more tracks. There's also time attack, trick attack, and a target game. These also net some cash. The new characters all seem to have better stats than the original characters. For instance, Pamela has a lot of the same stats that Linda has, but Pamela has half a star more. Both Tommy and Nancy are also lower than their new counterparts. The game also features an arranged soundtrack. In the case of Rookie Mountain, the music is completely different. Not better, just different. The Japanese voices are interesting compared to the US N64 game. When you don't have enough money to buy an item from the clown boxes, it seems like the voice is scolding you. Anyway, Snowboard Kids Plus is a fun time. The cutscenes definitely show more from the characters. It's just, for most of us English speakers, we won't understand it. You don't play this game for the story though. It's a fun alternative to Mario Kart, or well, in this case, Crash Team Racing. There are crazy courses, fun 2-player, great music, and it's easy to get the hang of. Even if you're a Snowboard Kids veteran like me, I'm sure there's not that many of us, the game will feel completely different. Plus, it's definitely worth a try. I don't think it's superior to the N64 version, but the game is full of new content. The N64 original really has a learning curve, but it has 4-player multiplayer. I recommend it either to a new player. Snowboard Kids Plus is definitely worth your time. Ball number 1 was first released in Japan on August 2nd, 1996. Next released in North America on October 31st, 1996. Hey, Halloween! Then in PAL territories on January 10th, 1997. This was also the first Squaresoft game for the PlayStation. Ball number 1 is a fighting game directed by Seiichi Ishii. He worked on Virtua Fighter and directed Tekken 1 and 2, so this dude definitely knew what he was doing. The late great Akira Toriyama did the artwork and character designs. This is a very unique cast of characters. The story for this game has something to do with the winner of the tournament getting exclusive mining rights to the mineral Mount Moran. Well, it's more creative than unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
The game doesn't use any textured polygons, so it moves at 60 frames per second. Akira Toriyama's designs are definitely not lost in the translation to 3D untextured characters. You have full 3D movement of your character in Ball number 1. Fighting is fast and furious. It's broken up into triangle for high attacks, square for mid attacks, and X for low attacks. Grapples are a lot of wrestling moves for the most part, like belly-to-belly suplexes, brainbusters, and power bombs. But there are more than a few other throws in there too. Seriously, this game is just a fun time. You can pop it in and get to playing. My son was the one I was fighting in this footage. It was his first time playing it. I also recorded him trying to play the horrible quest mode. I can't believe I played this so much as a kid. This game also has some great looking stages. along with an outstanding soundtrack. This is actually one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. There were 4 composers, maybe more. I seem to remember there being more, but they include Final Fantasy X and 13 composers Masashi Hamauzu and Junya Nakano. Also in this lineup is Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and Xenogears composer Yasunori Mitsuda. Nobuo Uematsu did a majority of the Final Fantasy X soundtrack and did a few pieces for Chrono Trigger. I just thought I'd throw that info in there. Tobal No. 1 is a unique game, with unique characters and a unique title. It might have been a little too unique. Even throwing a playable demo of the then hotly anticipated Final Fantasy VII didn't help sales. Sadly, I have to admit, I played the demo before I played the game when I got it. Hey, Final Fantasy VII was a big deal back then. It was still like a year away and I wanted to play it. Then I played Tobal, and my friends and I got a lot of play out of it. Tobal No. 1 is an excellent game with very easy to pick up and play controls. I highly recommend this game. Tale Concerto was first released in Japan on April 16, 1998, then released in France in December 1998, and in North America on November 3, 1999. Tale Concerto is the first in the Little Tale Bronx collection of games. Spiritual sequel Solo to Robo is also in this universe, as well as the Fuga games. Tale Concerto is an action platformer. You play as Officer Waffle Rybread. Poor dog finally gets a day off but gets called into work because kittens are tearing up the town.
The gang is attacking Rasaka. Packs of kittens are tearing up the town? Yes, sir. I'll be right there. There goes my day off. It's a dirty job. But some dogs gotta do it.
The first thing you'll notice about this game is how well it feels to run around in Waffle's police pod. Well, the first thing you'll notice after the animated cutscenes and the intro. Running around chasing kittens is easy to do. Now yes, an anthropomorphic dog catching kittens does seem, well, a bit childish, but this game's got a lot of charm. It does get harder as the game goes on. I definitely wish there was a way to control the camera. It's probably the toughest enemy in the game. A lock-on system would definitely help. Waffle uses the robot arms to catch things and pick up some objects. He also has a bubble cannon. This can trap the kittens, but can also be used to shoot at enemies in robots and planes and the such. In one area, Waffle gets access to a jetpack. This is where the game really starts to pick up and challenge. And once you hit the factory is when it becomes much more of a challenge. Then there's the frustrating minecart area. Well, it was frustrating to me at least. The game has a decent soundtrack. Nothing I really wanted to hear again. Not that it's bad, it's just each track is really short. The soundtrack does its job well though. Voice acting isn't too bad at all. I enjoyed the voice cutscenes. While I didn't encounter too many of them, there are animated cutscenes as well.
Alicia, no! I can't let you have this crystal!
When you head back to Waffle's hometown, he's on foot. This place is small. There are only a few NPCs roaming around. One of these NPCs did ask me how Waffle fits all those kittens in the back of his police bot. Waffle says there's a teleporter in the back. The only building to enter in this town is Waffle's house. Inside there isn't much other than Waffle's photo album. He for some reason likes to collect random photographs. This is all artwork you can collect by finding photograph pieces scattered around the floating islands. The only real reason to come here is to save and find out what the next mission is. You also get to save during missions with this little bean-looking dog thing.
Please use my radio.
The characters in this game really remind me of Mega Man Legends. The whole Waffle, Alicia, and Princess Terraria love triangle is similar to the one between Mega Man, Roll, and Tron. Overall, they're funny and likable characters. Tale Concerto is one of those games that gets overlooked because at a glance it seems like it's a kid's game. It's a very solid, well-designed adventure. This game is a gem for sure, even though it does remind me of Mega Man Legends. Speaking of which, that brings us to our final game of this video. But yeah, check out this game, it's awesome.
Wait a minute! This isn't the bank! Oops, sorry. The bank's in the next town over. Why is it always this way with you? Whenever I ask you to do something... The Misadventures of Trombon!
Now we have a game on the other side of the law. The Misadventures of Trombon was first released in Japan on July 22, 1999, next released in North America on April 30, 2000, and released in PAL territories on June 16, 2000. I actually did a full review of the Mega Man Legends series a while back, so if you want to check it out, I'll link it at the end of the video. Just like Tabal number 1, this game was released with a demo. A Mega Man Legends 2 demo was on a separate disc. The Misadventures of Trombon is a prequel to the first Mega Man Legends. This spin-off of a spin-off stars Trombon, the middle sibling of Legends' antagonist, the Bond family. Tron has just finished getting the family's airship operational. Teasel, the oldest and the leader, heads off to find the treasure Diana's Tear to recoup some funds. While there, Teasel and Bonbon are captured by Glide. Glide works for Loth. Loth is the one that loaned Teasel the money to build the Gisselshaft. It's up to Tron and her servbots to raise the money to save her brothers. To do this, she'll be performing burglaries, stealing farm animals, shipyard heists, and treasure hunting. This game has 3 different gameplay styles: action, puzzle, and RPG. Both action and RPG have quite a bit of story. Action starts you off robbing a small town. Controlling the Gustav is easy and it can pick up trees and cars, as well as other random stuff. The camera sticks to the Gustav's back, and it can sidestream. Tron can also send servbots into buildings to loot stuff. Is that a Dreamcast? These eventually lead to farm animal robberies. The bank stuff is great, and Officer Denise is a funny character. The farm feels like filler. Overall, these play well, and they're a fun time. This is also the version of Tron that's in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Puzzle doesn't have much story other than the servbots talking to Tron. This mode starts off easy. You try and grab all of the green and red boxes and load them into the ship. The thing is, the Gustav tank can only pick up boxes a total of 8 times. Then it can only move 10 squares. It gets much more complicated later on, adding conveyor belts and cranes to the mix. It gets really hard.
If we push that blue switch, the trap should stop. Just you watch.
Then there's my favorite, RPG. This one involves talking to a variety of fully voiced NPCs and collecting treasure. The servbots are the stars here. It's funny seeing these little guys interact with all these strange individuals. This game mode also has unique boss battles that you have to use the servbots to defeat. It can be a little tricky trying to get the traps disarmed, but overall it's a great time.
No, not really. We'll give you this if you want it.
Huh? What?
There's also the gate that holds Diana's Tear. This one plays the same as the action stages. This is an optional dungeon. It's closer to the style of Mega Man Legends. There's also managing the servbots back on the Gisselshaft. This game is seriously worth playing. Tron and the servbots are great leads. It's too bad we didn't get a follow-up, because this game still plays well and it has a lot of charm. It doesn't look too bad either. It's still for sale on the PS3 store. Unfortunately, not all these can be purchased anymore. These games sell for high prices for physical copies. There's always that other way to play these though. Another thing about Trombon is it has a great ending that leads into Mega Man Legends.
Huh? Wait a second. Isn't this... Sorry. We ended up in front of the animal hospital again. Don't you ever learn from your mistakes? How could you do this again?
So, do you have any memories of any of these games? If you do, please leave them down in the comments below. Now, I just want to say a special thanks to my son. He was my player 2 in this, so it's a lot more fun when you get to play these games with somebody else. Please like if you liked it. Please subscribe. Peace.